This is Gio Galvano, and you're checking out the 3 Count Podcast.
When in it, an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even
Dang, high pass, we find that drag ball at.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the Sherpa, the man who leads you up on the mountain of this here wrestling. But it's never about me. It's always about who's entering the ring. And today, now entering the ring, you can find this man at Rampage Pro, Invictus, Outbreak, 1CW, SWO, EWA, DCW, PPW, SWA, and TCW. For those of you who don't know, that's Titan Championship Wrestling. You can see him right here. He is looking like a Super Saiyan. Give it up for Jason Andrews.
Man, I wish I had that enthusiasm right now. That was awesome. I appreciate that amazing introduction.
Hey, thank you for coming on our show, man.
Absolutely, it's an honor.
Bet I'm super hyped, man, because like we met at Invictus, and then we legit I didn't realize like you were in Maryland, and then like when you brought it up, you're like, I know this guy. I was like, what? Wait, and I looked at Chaz. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, I found out about Chaz through Machiavelli. When me and Machiavelli go back to EWA actually, back when he was wearing his body armor, and we were in a inside out steel cage match. So basically the winner had to get into the cage and ring a bell. And I was on the outside with him. I walked up to him, I grabbed his vest, ripped one, ripped the other, lifted it up, and just chopped him as hard as I could. That was our first introductions together.
Anytime it's Prince, man. Prince had it coming. I don't care what anybody says. So we're going to fire off questions right off the jump. And my first question to ask you is, who is Jason Andrews?
Jason Andrews, man. He's a guy that might or might not have had the best upbringing. Well, he had a good upbringing, but it was a rough time growing up. And he looked to a lot of different things, like not drugs or anything like that. He kept his mind straight, but he looked towards martial arts because he got really fond of anime and superheroes. And he looked towards martial arts as a way to express himself. And after not necessarily growing out of it, but finding that his passion for it was allowing him to also get into professional wrestling, he then took his talents to professional wrestling, and now I'm here.
Bet you never grow out of anime. I know that, like myself. Like I know I've had someone ask me when I like it. I had a friend ask me one time. They're like, "Oh, they like, what's your favorite anime?" Right? And for me, I was like, "Yo, Dragon Ball." By far, I was like, I've been watching Dragon Ball since 1992, dude. Like, I was watching it when I was living in Panama in Spanish. So I was like, I watched Dragon Ball in 4 different languages actually. So it was like, trust me, I'm well aware of like never growing out of that something that you love so much.
It was funny how I got into animes because my brother was into it, and he's 9 years older than I am.
Mm-hmm.
So he was around when Dragon Ball came out. I wasn't even a thought when Dragon Ball came out. And so I grew up watching him play like Final Fantasy and watching all this anime like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z. I was like, that looks dumb. And I was like, why is he listening to Japanese music? This doesn't make sense. And then like as I got older and older, I just fell into it. And by the time I was like, when I got out of high school and like when you find yourself or whatever, I was like, wow, I really like this stuff. This is really awesome. And I wasn't scared to show it. So now like I walk around with the anime shirts. I have anime tattoos. Like I fell into it. I listened to the Japanese music.
He's like, I'll never be that person. I'm that person now.
Exactly.
So I myself, like being like a Dragon Ball fan, also Sailor Moon, you mentioned that. I introduced my daughter to Sailor Moon, like all the newer stuff, because I know like as you find the original anime and as you go further into it, it just deviates more adult. So I was like, all right, we can't have you watching this past this season, so you're stuck with what you got. But then like I introduced her to Dragon Ball, and she fell in love with like Goku. Her favorite character is Gohan. She'll be disappointed when she finds out later. And now she's really big into My Hero Academia. So I was like watching her grow into each section and loving it. It's crazy, man. And I bet it was the same way for your brother watching you like grow into this love of like anime, and then even yourself like find yourself like I'm attached to that character, and then you're
Yeah.
attached to him.
It's really cool, like that I have like the friend group that I have because we all love it. We all like grew up with it. So it's just like we do that. We attach a character to ourselves. So like I have two buddies, one's named Kevin and one is named Devin. And they're like Goku and Vegeta. And they call me Broly just because I'm the biggest out of everybody.
Nice.
We do that with other animes, like even Naruto, for instance. We do it with that. But it's really cool that like your daughter's into it, and like My Hero Academia, for instance, because like that's like that newer generation
Right.
and stuff like that. And I like the newer generation stuff, but I hate how it makes the older look. It makes the older look like we're watching 144 ping videos.
Yo, I was watching, yeah, because I watched like Dragon Ball Z with the Vegeta arc, and just like compare it to like the drawing style of like Dragon Ball Super. I was like, oh man, it's so bad. It's so bad. Like, I'm not embarrassed to say like I love watching this, but I'm just like, bruh. Like, even Vegeta's like chin to his cheek to his chin, like it's like a big S. And I was like, oh bruh. I thought this was so cool as a kid.
Those are the things you didn't notice back then.
Right. So I was like, I'm so attached. So keeping on, how did you get into the business?
Um, so like I said before, my buddy's his name is Kevin. We were at a local trampoline park yeah, up in Del Mar, and we and with martial arts, I also did some gymnastics through him and learned some stuff like flips and stuff like that. So we would go there, we would have fun. Back when we didn't have like adult lives and adult responsibilities. Um, so we went there, and one of the wrestlers, can't remember his name, but he was flagging for the Rampage show in Dover. I was like, "There's wrestling in Delaware? Are you kidding?" So he told me, he's like, "Yeah, this is the indie stuff." I was like, "What is indie wrestling?" And he tells me, he's like, "Well, it's what everybody does before they get to WWE." It's like, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And funny enough, and I give credit to these guys for getting me into the business. So I say they're the ones that got me into the business. Uh, that guy told me meet him in Laurel, Delaware, because me and you just had this conversation before we started recording the differences. And so he told me meet him in Laurel, Delaware, in this back road. I was like, I didn't even want to go. But I did. And I got there and I'm like, this is a barn. What is about to happen? It was like 8 o'clock at night. It's February, so it's already dark. I'm like, what is happening? And these cars pull in. I thought I was about to get jumped or something. And they get out, they're all saying hi, what's up? Little I know these are all other wrestlers. And these two guys, these two redneck, tattooed on the sleeves, everything, right? I'm like, what? And they come out of the house that's connected to the barn. They come up, open the door, and in the barn is a wrestling. And this wrestling ring is known throughout all of Delaware. And I don't know who these guys are. But to my knowledge, that I found out at the end of the night was these are the Briscoe brothers.
Oh, nice.
So I give them full credit for me falling in love with wrestling because they let me get into the ring. They just showed me around. They said, well, this is how you bump. This is like what we do. This is how you hit ropes. They didn't like teach me. They just showed me. And I was like, this is insane. And I hit the ropes like maybe once or twice and it hurt. I was like, this actually hurts. So I was like, and then when I found out who they were, like I got told their names. I was like, okay, I don't know who you are. I looked them up on Google when I got home. I was like, what? These guys have traveled the world. And me and them are actually good friends now. Like, they're letting me know soon when I can come back up and train with them, because they're still doing stuff with the ROH and stuff like that. And so it's kind of cool that still on that like friend basis with them. And they're literally the nicest guys ever. But that's how I got into wrestling.
That's awesome though. That's funny too, because like I know I had a similar experience, right? So it's like back in August, Sicken like came to me and was like, hey man, you're gonna be working this match. You're gonna be working a triple threat match for C3W. And I was like, all right, bet. I was like, who am I working? He's like, Ron Holiday. I was like, okay, well, I know who that is because, you know, it is what it is. He's like, and then you're going to go with this guy. And like the nicest dude ever, like talking to me and stuff. We're Loki. He's like, yo, I heard like, you know, you're really new to the business. You know, this is like your third wrestling match. I was like, yeah. He's like, we'll keep it super simple. We'll be easy. He's Darius Carter. I was like, oh, bet. Yeah. And so I had no idea. And then also like when I like got home, Nick, I told him, Nick, I was like, you know, I was like sick and like, thank you for everything. You know, I appreciate like everything you've done. And he's like, yeah. He's like, by the way, he's like, you have no idea who that was it? And I was like, I didn't at the time. So I was like, no. He's like, go ahead, just log it in. And then PWI pops up, 337. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So now like I see him everywhere. I'm like, I shoot him a message and be like, hey, what's up, man? Like, it's just cool. And then like you said, you just become friends with him. You're like out of nowhere.
Yeah. And you said Ron Holiday and Nick, I met them. So there was that Rampage show. And then I got into training literally the next month. And I got onto Rampage that August in a Rumble under a mask. And that's where I met Ron and Sicken for the first time. They didn't know who I was an absolute nobody. But I was like, oh, okay. So there's actually like tag teams, there's singles competitors and stuff. So it's like this was my first locker room. So I was like, this is cool. But yeah, that's exactly where I met them for the first time.
Yeah, so it was crazy for me with him too. Like I had a friend suggest going to them and to go, right. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. They're like, yeah, he's a trainer. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I don't know. So then I remember reaching out, and then he was like, yeah, just come on up. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'll be there the first week of January. This was the beginning of November. So at any time, I bet he was like, no, he's not coming. And then I showed up and he was like, oh, you're here. I was like, what's up? So, and since then, like, I just haven't left yet. So it's like 18 months now, minus like the 2 months of coronavirus, like, right, got shut down. But yeah, so, and then he introduced me to like so many people. It's been ridiculous, like how everything's like played out.
Yeah, Sicken definitely gets around. He definitely knows a lot of people.
Yeah, he's like herpes, like just spread. He gonna kill me for saying that, but you know what? I don't really mind. I'd be like, I'd be like, bro, you're like a birthday cake on a wrestling mat.
Yeah.
Some people go to wrestling.
I'm gonna tell him that he reminds me of herpes and that he reminds me of the birthday cake on the wrestling mat, which the Briscoes are the reason for that.
Yeah. This comes full circle. So
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I'm just curious, man, because you've been in the business for a little bit, and I just want to know, like, what's the worst bump you've taken?
The worst bump I've taken. That's actually a really good question because it's something I actually never think about. The one that I guess I got hurt the worst on was when I got essentially like not a Rikishi driver, but it was like a driver variation. And I got that put through a chair. But we got used a plastic chair because I didn't want a concussion. So I was like, all right, plastic's not gonna hurt me. And yeah, I ended up with 5 staples in my head from when the chair broke and cut me.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Um Worst bump. I haven't gone through tables. I haven't done anything related to like sickened ish. Like jumping off of things.
Falling
Um, yeah. Um, I haven't really. I've taken like bad bumps. Like It was back when I was at EWA, and I was under a mask. I was in a tag team match, and he did like a wheelbarrow, and his tag partner did a famouser, but it was so off time that I just rammed my forehead just right to the mat. It was awful. Um, Actually, okay. So I was at Rampage, and I was working with one of the wrestlers. I don't say his name because he got outed. But I was working with him. We were just doing some stuff, and I was green. This was my first locker room show ever, and we're doing basic drills. And then he does something out of nowhere. I forget what he did, but his elbow hit my forehead, and I had like a unicorn bump just right here. And I'm walking around with like a tumor on my forehead. And I'm just like, am I gonna be able to get my mask on? Like, and it not hurt? But other than that, it's kind of like the worst of the worst, I guess.
Yeah, so we've now explained, bad bumps and hardest hits, like
Yeah.
getting a knot. Like it's no difference than getting a little unicorn, like the horn right there on your side of your head. That's crazy. Um, so then, well, because that answers my second question, which would have been the hardest hit that you've taken, and clearly getting a bump on your face sums that up.
Yeah.
So So I know like a lot of wrestlers who like when they go and travel and stuff like that, they just don't eat before the shows because obviously they're not trying to lose their lunch during a match. So I'm very curious about it. Do you have a post match snack or a post match meal that you always look forward to when you get done wrestling?
Okay, so it depends on what state I'm in. If I'm in Pennsylvania, I don't care if I have to go farther away from home. I will go to a Sheets. I have to go to Sheets because we don't have them down. We
Right.
only have Wawa and Royal Farms. That's it, and I hate it. So like, last time I went to Sheets was literally last week because we went up to Outbreak because they were doing a taping, and that kind of fell through. But when we left, me and AK, we left, went straight to Sheets. We spent $20 each, like with no problem at all. But absolutely 100%, if I cross the state line of Maryland, going to Jersey or Pennsylvania, I'm getting Sheets. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. That's kind of been like the recent stops for me. Like I know coming back from West Virginia, I got to get Taco Bell. But if I'm coming from Pennsylvania or New Jersey, yeah, Sheets is it. Like that's where I'm
Oh, yeah.
going. That's only spots. And I've just been recently introduced to Sheets too. And we're talking about as recent as in like, so we're recording this on the 21st of May, so you guys can understand. This was like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm all about this life now. So I'm very curious, man. Like, what kind of advice would you have for like up and coming wrestlers?
I still consider myself like kind of new to the business because I'll be 3 years in July, or 3 years in August since my first match. But it's 3 years since I started training in March. Um, the best advice I can give is just keep going. Like, yeah, you're gonna have a time when your bookings slow down. Yeah, you're gonna have a time where your calendar isn't as full, especially now after COVID, because a lot of people want to use their homegrown talent. Um, But when you do go to shows, the term, can I cuss? Like,
You
it's
can
not
curse.
bad.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
curse.
Okay. Um, the whole get your shit in thing, you don't have to get all of your stuff in, but at least make sure you look good with whatever you do. Because that does matter. Like, yeah, whether it's actually winning or if it's just losing and jobbing to somebody, make sure what you do is good. Like you know that when you walk out of that ring and back to the locker room, you did your job. So if you're squashing to somebody, you made them look like a monster with your selling, with your acting, all of it. Um, and if you are going over your match, you feel comfortable that what you did was perfect. And don't um, always do what you're comfortable with. Don't do anything you're uncomfortable with. If somebody says, I want you to take a Canadian off the second and you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. As simple as that. You literally, it's like we learned in middle school. Say no to drugs, say no to moves that you don't feel like taking. In all honesty, it's the simplest way I can put it. I've talked to Machiavelli about this stuff, so it's like it's still here.
It's just like that. Say no to drugs. Say no to moves you don't know how to do. Or
Exactly. I'm gonna make that a shirt.
you should. I like that. Just put it on there
Um,
like, just put on there like, dare to say no to moves that you don't know how to do.
exactly. And,
I'd buy, I'd buy that shirt instantly.
absolutely.
Then when people ask you to be like, "Hey man, do you feel comfortable?" I'd be like,
Exactly. No, I don't at
no,
all.
dare to say no to moves I can't do. All right.
Other than that, like the basic stuff, do the drives, help out with ring crew, all that stuff. That definitely does get seen. It definitely gets looked at. Even though it might not feel like it. And yes, there are promotions that are like, this is my friend. I'm gonna keep him at the top. Why would I pick you when he's my friend? Type deal. But just keep your head up, honestly. Like it does get rough, it does get slow. Literally just keep your mind focused on your goals and what you want to do and do everything you can to get there. And one quote, sorry that I'm rambling, but like one quote that I saw that I keep posting a lot about is whether I do it in 3 years or whether I do it over 10 years, I will get where I want to be. So yeah, those 9 years you could be struggling, but that 10th year that you stay in the business when you felt like quitting, when you felt like leaving, could be your year. So I've just been using that to keep me going since COVID, at least.
No, that's a great thing to say. I know I've had I had other people who told me that too. They're like, the day that you quit could be the day that someone's like, "Hey, where's that guy at? Oh, he
Right.
retired. All right, we'll just move on to the next guy." So yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand that. So I need one do and one don't of the locker room, though, sir.
One do and one don't. Do, okay, because I felt victim to this once or twice. Do wear deodorant, okay? That is very important because Jesus, we don't need locker rooms smelling like high school boy locker rooms. I fell victim to this when I first broke in because I would be like, and I sweat a lot. I'm sweating in my air conditioned house right now because of just sweat. So wear extra strength deodorant, okay? And don't treat the fans as if they're like your best friend was one of the first things I was taught. You are professional, keep it professional because the fans, as much as they give us what we are, gives us how independent wrestling, gives us our t-shirt sales, give us our 8x10 sales, they are not, they are customers and you don't mess with your customers. So when you start crossing that line, that's where things get rocky. And that's where a lot of wrestlers have been called out and stuff like that. So just don't be unprofessional, I guess, would be the don't. Just keep it like a business.
That's great advice to give out. So with that being said, though, we got to get into the second best segment of this show. People ask me what's the first, and that's the Red Dog Power Rankings that you can find on the debate shows every Sunday, or you can find them on TikTok and Instagram every Monday morning. But we got to get into the 3-count podcast, 10-count questions. Mr. Andrews, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you, rapid fast. Whatever first comes to your mind is what your answer is.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, so let's put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
Raw.
Favorite cartoon?
Dragon Ball Z.
Bet. I'm glad you said that. Chaozu or Yamcha?
Chaozu.
It was like no one likes Yamcha. Poor Yamcha.
I've been called Yamcha too many times.
Yeah. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie, The Crow and Justice League.
Ooh, bet. I like both those. Which one? The Justice League or are you talking about Zack Snyder?
Zack Snyder.
All right, bet. That's the best answer. Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees?
I don't watch horror, but if I had to pick one, probably Jason Voorhees.
Bet. Favorite color?
Favorite color, black.
All right. Budweiser or Guinness?
I don't drink, but Budweiser.
Hey, see? I like it. American. That's what we do. I'm pointing in my shirt. Favorite podcast?
3-count podcast, Nerds of Wrestling podcast, and the Power Hour with Invictus Pro Wrestling.
Hey, I love the Power Hour as well. All right, name one person that you want to see on this podcast.
That is a really good question. People that don't get enough love, or enough exposure. So AK Willis, get Big Dust on here because Big Dust is dope. And that's all I got.
Bet. I like them. So last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person that comes on this show. Favorite curse word?
The F word.
Hey, see? I like it.
I say it a lot at work.
That's how bad it is. You can't even say it on air.
I say it a lot at my job, that's for sure. I say a lot of like made up, like I'm like the Adam Sandler of my job. I just make up like random sounds and like random things to say. So.
Oh, me too. I'm right there with you. Like I string words together. I'm just like, I don't know how we got to this ramble, but I'm so glad we got here. So the last thing I need from you though is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Okay. On Instagram, you could find me at @Jason_Andrews with the S at the end. And on Twitter is @Jason_Andrew because Twitter doesn't want me to put the S at the end because it doesn't like me. And then Facebook, just under Jason Andrews. I don't accept a lot of friend requests from like randoms, but I might make exceptions. I don't know. But that's all I got right now. I'm working on t-shirts and a website like either What a Maneuver or Pro Wrestling Tees. And you might even see Dare not to do moves I'm not comfortable with or something.
I can't wait to see that design. I'm low key. I'm bloop, put that in the cart. Let's go. But there you go. There's where you guys can meet. You guys can see him. You guys talk to him. And then even when he puts his t-shirt sales up, we'll make sure that we address that. We can actually help you like promote that as well.
I appreciate it.
That is everything here with all the questions. And you guys know what it means. This is the 3-Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And as I said, I'm your Sherpa, the man who leads you on the summit of this mountain called wrestling. But it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And entering the ring today is Mr. Jason Andrews. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there. Or you just wait till this outro is done. And then the next episode is going to play. And you guys will like that one too. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3count pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3count podcast, and in there you can leave us a message and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3count podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3count pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.